Hey everyone! Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Jane, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Young and the Restless, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, the CBS soap opera may be planning 4 shocking episodes in August. Let's speak about all the growing friction and heartbreaking moments as Genoa City's drama heats up. 1. Kane's significant failure. To begin with, Kane Ashby could wish to tone down his arrogant demeanor. It is impossible for anyone to defeat Victor Newman, at least not for very long. Kane should reconsider his belief that he is prepared for the battle that lies ahead. Victor will plot against Kane, who ought to suffer a significant setback, with the support of all the Newmans. 2. The romantic tangle that is Lily. Since Damian Kane is no longer involved, Lily Winter's romantic life will become more complicated. Despite Lily's insistence that she and Kane have no future together, her heart might be telling her otherwise. Lily's nightmares about Kane might be coming stronger and more often again in Genoa City because she was already having them in Nice. Even if Lily and Kane won't be seeing each other again for a while, he might still infiltrate her mind and provide her with some breathtakingly beautiful dreamlike moments. 3. The upending of Claire's world. Then, the clock is ticking as Claire Newman's world is about to be turned upside down. Kyle Abbott may come to regret maintaining secrets and ought to have given Claire the complete story of what transpired with Audra Charles at once. Diane Jenkins Abbott believes Claire won't be happy with what Kyle did behind closed doors when the truth is revealed. Claire might feel deceived because Kyle set up a trap by making out with Audra while partially nude. It will appear as though Kyle had something to conceal, especially since he didn't come clean right away. In addition to everything else, Claire might be furious with Victor's seduction plan and worried that Kyle still has feelings for Audra. The length of time it will take for everything to blow up is unknown, but Claire might be devastated by the end of August. 4. The heartbreak of Audra. Another character who appears to be on the verge of heartbreak is Audra, of course. Audra's scheme to split Claire and Kyle on Victor's orders may cause Nate Hastings to dump her. All indications suggest that this YNR pair will soon be destroyed because Audra's deceit won't work for Nate either. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, August will be jam-packed with significant twists, awful news, and much more. Stay tuned for more on all the mayhem. According to Friday, August 1st teasers for The Young and the Restless, Jack Abbott will give up for Billy Abbott's sake, while Tessa Porter will receive some toddler assistance. Let's talk about what's happening in Genoa City since Phyllis Summers will also have to make a big decision. Daniel Romalotti Jr. will first meet up with Phyllis after that terrible trip to Nice. Daniel will be concerned when Phyllis stands up for Kane Ashby and continues to appear committed to cooperating with him. Phyllis may also bring up Billy's proposal for a fresh partnership, but Daniel would view that as dangerous given that she has already been let down by Billy. Nevertheless, it appears like Phyllis will decide to take a chance with Billy and proceed with their most recent collaboration. It will be interesting to observe whether Phyllis benefits from that choice or if it ultimately backfires. He'll make a decision with Jack to give up something in order to help his brother. This may be related to Jack's earlier discussion about keeping Billy back and enabling him since Jack will give up in some way. It's probable that Jack will leave Abbott Communications and Billy. But Jack has also thought about working with Kane, so perhaps that's how he gives up instead. Since Jack may help Billy and get some assistance against Victor Newman at the same time, he could be able to join the squad here. Even though Kane hasn't shown himself to be reliable, Jack might still take the chance. On Friday's episode of YNR, Tessa will spend the day with Aria Porter Copeland in the park, or at least she will make an effort. Mariah Copeland's absence will be difficult, particularly because Aria has been perplexed by what's happening with her other mother. Daniel will provide some help as soon as he sees Tessa with Aria. Daniel might be able to cheer Aria up and divert her attention from any family strife. When it comes to Tessa, Daniel will support her as well and offer to listen if she wants to vent. Stay tuned for more on how Mariah will be affected by all of this wonderful news, as spoilers for The Young and the Restless indicate that Daniel and Tessa will deepen their relationship. Audra and a towel-clad Kyle shared a passionate kiss in Kyle's sleeping automobile in Nice. He buried Audra's neck with kisses after she ushered him to the bed. He whispered in Audra's ear, "I'm on to you." Audra asked arrogantly if Kyle really thought she was there to woo him. He made fun of her, claiming she felt comfortable with him, and compared it to how she had planned every previous action she had made. Audra argued that the incident was unplanned and that she had been terrified and vulnerable. Kyle said it was low to use her boyfriend's brother's murder as leverage to get him into bed. Kyle had been as interested in it as she had been, Audra shot back. Kyle made fun of the fact that he had mastered the art of pretending just as well as she did, if not better. Kyle thought Nate would find it difficult to comprehend Audra's expression of sadness, even as she sobbed that she had been appalled by Damien's passing and heartbroken for Nate and Amy. According to Audra, she became desperate and resorted to Kyle in a panic. She vowed that she never thought things would go that way and that if he hadn't, she would have retreated. Audra attributed it to her inability to regulate her emotions. Kyle pleaded with her to simply acknowledge that he had defeated both her and Victor. Audra pretended not to know what was going on with Victor. Since Victor was the sole investor in her business, Kyle surmised that he was the one in charge. Victor, Audra claimed, had faith in her and Vibrante. Kyle acknowledged that she was talented, but not in the makeup industry. He thought about Nate's reaction, but she spit out that Nate would never trust whatever Kyle told him. Kyle guessed that Vibrante had been funded by Victor in return for Audra deceiving him into bed in order to ruin his relationship with Claire and violate his contract with Victor. Audra branded Kyle an egotistical idiot who believed that everything was about him, and she denied making a deal with Victor. Kyle made fun of Audra's terrible performance. In response, Audra said it was pitiful that Kyle had to sign a contract with Victor in order to keep seeing Claire. Kyle was furious that Audra only cared about herself, and if Nate hadn't already, he would discover it on his own. Kyle revealed that he had only agreed to her social media plan in order to keep her on board. He went on to say that she had been willing to go all the way, and he had merely kissed her to see how far she would take it. Before he stopped himself, Audra felt that Kyle had been fully there with her. Because Victor's money hinged on her closing the sale, he emphasized that the important thing was that he had stopped while she hadn't. Kyle claimed that Audra was upset with him because he had outplayed her. Everyone had seen him flirting with her ever since they arrived, and she was the one who had prevented him from continuing, Audra sulked. Kyle proclaimed that he was happy that he no longer had to pretend to agree with her foolish perfume war concept because everyone understood who she was and what she was prepared to do to get her goals. He didn't think Vibrante would ever be seen. Audra was reprimanded by Kyle for being so confident in herself that she had failed to recognize his love for Claire. Kyle planned to inform Victor that Audra had failed and would once more be destroyed. He told her to leave. Phyllis complained in the dining car that she detested being positioned between Nick and Kane. When a guy had just died the previous evening, Sharon was surprised that Phyllis was still worried about a job. Phyllis vowed that Damien's death was not Kane's fault. When Nick called her a monster who was shielding a murderer, Phyllis complained. Phyllis thought Nick was there to apologize when he entered. He yelled, "Are you insane?" and added that he had more proof that Kane was a murderer. Nick disclosed that in order to keep an eye on his visitors, Kane installed a network of cameras throughout the home. Every wealthy man with an estate has security cameras, Phyllis noted. Nick added that although there were cameras at the murder scene, the screen went blank, therefore there was no video of the actual incident. Phyllis hypothesized that the actual murderer had deleted it, and she maintained that the disappearance of the video was merely convenient for the murderer, not Kane. When Phyllis believed what Kane stated without question, Nick didn't waste time trying to persuade her of Kane's guilt. Nick made the decision to descend the mountain and inquire about the situation with the authorities. Phyllis told him that the police were already on their way and pleaded with him not to go since the hike was perilous. Nick bitterly contemplated discussing with Kane how he had managed to travel back and forth to Genoa City. According to Phyllis, she was also curious in Kane's method. Kane would simply lie to her, Nick growled, and he promised to send the police there before Kane or his cronies could do anything more. Phyllis warned that Nick would appear to be escaping the crime scene. Nick argued that he was more worried about Kane snitching more proof against him. Nick said that Phyllis had abandoned their friendship and history in favor of a job. He went on to say that he wanted experts to determine what had transpired and that he was done allowing Kane to tell the tale. Phyllis reprimanded Sharon for not speaking out, and Nick hurried away. Noting that something needed to be done, Sharon took Nick's side. Sharon later visited Nick's sleeping automobile and demanded to accompany him. Adam had warned Nick that the journey was difficult and steep, therefore Nick suggested against it. They could support each other, Sharon thought. Nick wondered if their lives would ever return to normal. Sharon advised they concentrate on descending the mountain and locating the police because she felt it was too overwhelming to consider everything that had transpired. A knock on the door prompted Nick to signal Sharon to get out of view. There, he discovered Carter and another Kane's employee. Since Mr. Dumas's life was in jeopardy and Nick's threats were worrisome, Carter told Nick to accompany them. Nick proposed that they reassure Kane that he shouldn't be concerned until the cops arrived. Carter declared that Nick would be placed under house arrest. Nick objected, saying Carter lacked the power. Carter made it clear that Mr. Dumas owned it and that he needed to take precautions to keep himself safe. Given that Kane was nothing more than a killer and a liar, Nick furiously questioned whether the thugs were acting for financial gain. According to Carter, Nick was the main suspect and seemed to be attempting to flee before the police showed up. Nick snarled at the men to move aside. Carter cautioned Nick that the other guard might make things as tough as Nick desired if he forced him to draw his weapon. Stepping forward, Sharon offered to warn Victor. Additionally, Carter told her that she had no choice but to go with them. Jack asked Billy in the garden if he believed Nick should jump down Kane's throat. After Billy said he didn't care, he shifted the conversation to Jack, accusing Billy of disappointing him once more. Jack explained that all he had stated was that Billy had taken him by surprise by giving Sally control of Abbott Communications and changing his mind about giving up on regaining Chancellor. Billy retorted that it was his business and that he had chosen what he believed to be the best course of action. Billy was adamant about making amends for what Jill and Victor had done to him, and he believed Jack's rage stemmed more from his desire to end their agreement than from being taken by surprise. Billy was reprimanded by Jack for his obsession with defeating Victor and Jill without any strategy. Billy asked directly if Jack was out or not after becoming irate that Jack wasn't responding to him directly. Jack blasted Abbott Communications for failing to succeed without his support, but Billy had thought it was acceptable to alter the regulations without telling the person who had made it possible. In order for him and Jack to move on and forget the partnership ever existed, Billy declared that he was going to end it and find a new investor. Billy strode away. Billy poured a drink at the bar and told Jack that their father would have been pleased with Billy's new endeavor. Billy said to himself, "Here's to making myself proud with or without you, Jack," as Phyllis walked up to him. He talked about having trust issues with his brother, and she noticed that he appeared to be as tough as she felt. Phyllis compared Billy to a cat pursuing a shiny, new item, implying that Jack didn't enjoy Billy's pursuit of Chancellor. She lectured that she believed Billy was treating Abbott Communications as a side project since he was often sidetracked and never saw any project through to completion. Billy claimed to have vision, and Phyllis agreed that he was very good at persuading others to believe him. Billy grumbled that everyone who had vowed to defend him had abandoned him the moment he made a choice they disagreed with. Phyllis complained that although she believed Dumas was innocent, she had anticipated to face the world alongside him, but her potential boss would face murder charges. The trip had been a complete bust, and Phyllis lamented that it couldn't get much worse. Billy acknowledged that Phyllis wanted Kane to be innocent, but he questioned who else had the opportunity, the means, and the motivation. Deflated, Phyllis thought about drinking, but decided it would only make her head ache. Billy said they needed Kane to finish the job, she wanted a job, and he wanted Chancellor back. In order to get Kane off the hook, Phyllis suggested that she and Billy collaborate.